Y'all ain't noticed since Pooh Shiesty been home, ain't been no 1017 repping. It ain't been no shouting out Gucci Man and I'm 1017 this and Gucci Man this and Gucci Man that. Ain't none of that.
Pooh Shiesty, one of the most important rappers to ever come out of Memphis, recently made a statement that shocked the entire hip-hop world. This is the same artist who helped generate millions of streams, revived interest in 1017 Records, and became the face of Gucci Mane's label during a crucial time. After spending years locked up in federal prison, many expected his return to be celebrated. Instead, what he came home to was silence, disappointment, and broken promises. At the center of this situation is Gucci Mane himself. What makes this story stand out is that it is not just about contracts or label drama. It involves loyalty, family ties, loss, respect, and a lot of money. This is the kind of issue that does not fade quietly. Memphis artists move differently, and when something feels personal, it usually turns serious. To understand why this situation could turn into one of the biggest conflicts in hip-hop, you first have to understand who Pooh Shiesty is and what he meant to 1017 Records. Back in 2020, Pooh Shiesty was not just another rapper trying to get noticed. He was the future of Gucci Mane's label. His breakout record, Back in Blood featuring Lil Durk, exploded almost instantly. The song became more than a hit, turned into a moment. It was everywhere, playing in clubs, cars, and playlists across the country. With hundreds of millions of streams, Pooh Shiesty went from a local Memphis name to a national star in a very short time. What made him special was his raw energy. His music felt real. Fans believed what he was saying because it came from lived experience. That authenticity helped him connect with listeners far beyond Memphis. His debut project, Shiesty Season, reached platinum status, proving he was not a one-hit wonder. At that point, 1017 Records became relevant again in a way it had not been for years. Pooh Shiesty was not only building his own career, he was helping Gucci Mane make serious money, $95,475. Then, in October 2021, everything changed. Pooh Shiesty was arrested and later sentenced to 5 years in federal prison on firearms conspiracy charges. For most artists, that kind of sentence would end their momentum. Prison usually kills hype, attention, and public interest. Surprisingly, the opposite happened. His fanbase stayed loyal, his music continued to perform well, and anticipation for his return kept growing. During that time, Gucci Mane spoke publicly about Pooh Shiesty often. He said he missed him, that he was waiting for him to come home, and that 1017 was still supporting its star artist. Gucci even dropped most of the label's roster, keeping only a few artists, including Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano. To the public, it looked like loyalty. But behind the scenes, the reality was very different. When Pooh Shiesty first signed to 1017 Records, the partnership looked perfect. Gucci Mane, a respected trap legend, linked up with a hungry young rapper from Memphis who reminded people of Gucci's early days. Pooh Shiesty brought energy, while Gucci provided connections, resources, and industry access. Early on, Pooh Shiesty showed nothing but respect. In interviews, songs, and social media posts, he proudly represented 1017. He spoke about Gucci like a mentor and treated the label like family. That loyalty made sense. Gucci Mane gave him a chance that changed his life. Before the deal, Pooh Shiesty was grinding without much visibility. After signing, he was performing at major venues, working with big artists, and seeing his image promoted everywhere. Everything appeared to be working. However, problems started long before prison. Industry insiders quietly talked about disagreements over money and contracts. Nothing public, but tension was building. These kinds of issues are common in the music business, especially when an artist grows faster than expected. Fast forward to 2025, when Pooh Shiesty finally returned home. Fans, media, and industry figures waited to see what would happen next. Many assumed 1017 Records would welcome him with open arms, new deals, and a clear plan for the future. That did not happen. Soon after his release, Pooh Shiesty posted a message online saying that no label, no rappers, and no industry friends really looked out for him. Only his family and the people who had always been there showed support. He did not mention names, but the message was clear. When you are signed to one label and say the label did nothing, people know who you mean. According to sources close to the situation, the main issue is money. When Pooh Shiesty went to prison, he was still under his original contract. By the time he came home, that deal needed to be renewed. The problem was that his value had changed dramatically. He went into prison as a promising new artist. He came out as an established star with a platinum project, massive streams and strong demand. Any smart label executive would recognize that growth. But reports suggest Gucci Mane offered numbers far below what Pooh Shiesty was worth. The offers allegedly reflected his old status, not his current success. It felt like an attempt to lock him into a deal that no longer matched his position in the industry. Pooh Shiesty refused to accept that. He understood his value now. He had seen the numbers and felt the support from fans worldwide. Unlike before, he was not desperate for a deal. He pushed back, and that is when the relationship fully broke down. Since his release, Pooh Shiesty has not mentioned 1017 records at all. No shoutouts, no chain, no public praise. For someone who once proudly represented the label, that silence speaks louder than words. According to him, there was no welcome home gesture. No jewelry, no car, no meaningful financial support. Just business as if nothing had happened. What makes this situation even more painful is the involvement of his cousin Big Scar. Big Scar was another rising artist signed to 1017 and a close family member. In December 2022, Big Scar passed away from an accidental overdose at just 22 years old. His death deeply affected the Memphis music scene and devastated his family. While Pooh Shiesty was still incarcerated, he had to watch from a distance as events unfolded. According to Big Scar's family, Gucci Mane tried to retrieve the 1017 chain after his death. Instead of offering support or helping with funeral arrangements, the focus seemed to be on business. Big Scar's brother publicly claimed that when the family asked for help, Gucci blocked their calls. For Pooh Shiesty, seeing his cousin's family treated that way crossed a line. At that point, it stopped being about contracts or money. It became about respect, loyalty, and how family was treated during a tragedy. That kind of pain does not fade easily. This is why the situation feels so heavy. It is not just industry drama. It is personal, emotional, and unresolved. And in hip-hop, when those elements mix, the outcome is rarely quiet. That situation involving Big Scar showed Pooh Shiesty exactly who he was dealing with, and it changed how he looked at everything. From that moment on, it was no longer just about business disagreements or label issues. It became clear to him that respect and loyalty were missing. Once that realization settled in, there was no going back. What makes things even more complicated is that even if Pooh Shiesty wanted to sit down and talk directly with Gucci Mane, he realistically cannot. Multiple people close to the situation have said that Gucci Mane's wife, Keisha Kaur, controls nearly all of his communication. She reportedly manages his phone, oversees his Instagram account, and filters who gets access to him. Any message, call, or request goes through her first. Some fans might see that as a wife protecting her husband, and in a personal relationship that may make sense. But in the music business, it creates serious problems. Artists need direct access to the head of their label. They need private conversations about contracts, creative plans, personal concerns, and future direction. When another person stands in the middle of every discussion, trust becomes harder to build. For Pooh Shiesty, that barrier made honest communication nearly impossible. Even if he wanted to clear the air man to man, the situation was already blocked. At some point, Pooh Shiesty reached a hard but honest conclusion. Gucci Mane could no longer offer him anything he could not get on his own. Early in his career, 1017 Records played an important role. Gucci Mane gave him exposure, industry connections, and a platform to grow. Back then, Pooh Shiesty needed that support, and he never denied it. He appreciated the opportunity and showed loyalty while building his name. Now, the situation is completely different. Pooh Shiesty has his own fanbase that stayed loyal even while he was locked up. His music continues to perform well on streaming platforms. His name alone creates attention whenever it comes up. He has proven that he can deliver hits and move numbers without constant promotion from a label. That changes everything. When it comes to distribution, there are countless options available to him. Major labels, independent services, and even self-release paths exist today. Marketing is no longer a concern either. His story, his background, and his reputation already generate interest. Features are not an issue because other artists want to work with him based on who he is, not because of the label attached to his name. The balance of power has shifted, and Pooh Shiesty understands that. This is why the low contract offers felt insulting. From his point of view, it looked like Gucci Mane was treating him as if he were still an unknown artist trying to break into the industry. That mindset ignored everything Pooh Shiesty had already accomplished. Instead of recognizing his growth, it felt like an attempt to hold him back. That realization pushed him to step away. That decision explains why he no longer represents 1017 Records publicly. There are no mentions, no chains, no praise. The silence is intentional. It reflects his understanding that staying tied to the label would mean accepting less than he deserves, and he refuses to do that. Now the question becomes how Gucci Mane will respond if this situation turns more public. Will he defend his actions? Will he try to dismiss Pooh Shiesty's concerns? Or will he attempt to fix the damage and rebuild trust? If this turns into a public conflict, it could seriously hurt 1017 Records. Future artists will pay attention to how this situation is handled. If the label could not fully support its biggest star after prison, why would a new artist believe things would be different for them? Trust matters in this industry, and once it is damaged, rebuilding it becomes extremely difficult. This situation puts Gucci Mane's legacy as a label head under real scrutiny. For Pooh Shiesty, the issue is simple. He wants respect and fair treatment. He spent years behind bars while still generating income for the label. When he returned, he expected support, appreciation, and a deal that matched his value. Instead, he faced silence, disappointing offers, and watched his family experience disrespect after a tragic loss. Those moments stay with a person. This situation also highlights a bigger issue within the music industry. Many young artists sign contracts when they are desperate for opportunity. At that stage, they often agree to terms they barely understand because they are focused on survival, not long-term value. As they grow, learn the business, and see their worth, those early deals start to feel restrictive. Smart labels evolve with their artists. They renegotiate fairly, reward growth, and build long-term partnerships. Labels that refuse to adjust often lose their best talent and gain reputations that scare others away. Right now, 1017 Records is dangerously close to that outcome. Without Pooh Shiesty, the label's future looks uncertain. Other artists have left, been dropped, or are dealing with legal problems. Pooh Shiesty was the centerpiece. Losing him would leave a major gap that is not easy to replace. At this point, the relationship between Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane appears broken beyond repair. What once looked like family has turned into frustration, disappointment, and lost trust. Pooh Shiesty came home expecting loyalty from the label he helped elevate. Instead, he felt ignored and undervalued. Now he is making his stance clear. He is not representing 1017 anymore. He is not praising Gucci Mane. He is openly saying that nobody looked out for him when he returned home. That message carries weight, and it will not be ignored. Whether this remains quiet tension or turns into a major public conflict remains to be seen. Music has always been a place where artists speak their truth, and Pooh Shiesty has plenty to say. Anything is certain, though. The loyalty that once existed is gone. And in hip-hop, once trust disappears, it rarely comes back.